Thank you for tuning in, those of you who are and who will later on, once this is recorded. I decided to do these series of interviews with some of my friends and colleagues and those people who are, have been supportive in my network because we've been through a lot of changes recently in these past few months. And I was inspired to do these series of interviews because a lot of us have had to make a lot of changes in our lives due to everything that's been going on. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and a lot of people are feeling insecure in their financial lives, their careers. I talk to people all the time who who have relatives who've lost their jobs, or friends, and who themselves are sort of facing that situation where they might be there might be a change in their career, and they have to kind of pivot, or they have to find a way to support their family in a different way. And I was thinking that I know so many different people who have made that pivot and have been really successful, and who started just right where you guys are. Some of you are sort of you have ideas, you have projects you want to start, you have a business you want to start, you have kind of something that you've wanted to start for years, and you just haven't really made that change. And so Chel is one of my friends who has recently made that change in her life, and she is a life coach. She went through the training, and she has experience, her prior experience is, has led her to what she's doing now. And I really wanted to invite her in to interview her, and hopefully inspire some of you and give you some resources and some ideas and encouragement, most of all, and inspiration to be able to go ahead and make that leap of faith and add that something else to your plate, and just pursue your dream and create the life that you've always wanted, despite the fact that so many things are uncertain at this time. So Chel, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to have you on as my first guest. I would love for you to share with my friends, how you chose your career. What made you want to choose life coaching as your profession?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Olia, for having me here. You're just such grace and just such peace and serenity. So I would love
Aww.
being in a space with you any day.
Yeah.
That's invigorating. So, and actually listening to you talk, I'm sitting here thinking, consider everyone who's watching this. If you need a sign, this might be the sign. If you've been thinking or considering, where do I really want my life to go? I know a lot of us sitting, in our homes during these weeks at a time, had nothing but time to reflect and really look at our lives, or be with all the circumstances and all the feelings and the thoughts and those body sensations that, are making us uncomfortable in this shift and this change that we've had, that you actually may really be evaluating, am I living the life that I really want and really thought I wanted to? So this right here, and thank you, Olia, for creating the platform, because yes, you can too. And why not now? Now better than ever. Because, a lot of times we'll say, maybe when I'm ready, or I'm not ready, or this, or I don't have the website, or I don't, all the things, all the reasons why you're not stepping out there. We really only have now in this moment. And are we ever really ready? I don't know. I mean, I know when I did it, it's scary. I'm not going to lie. It can get a little scary, challenging, because you don't know. And I'll say for me, yes, I have been working with people and serving people probably all my life, even just like as a dear friend, family member. I just always tend to fall into like the caretaker, inspirational, motivational, pump people up, seeing people at their best selves. and just also helping people just figure out their way. So it was very natural for me. I've been serving, you know, professionally people for over 20 years, and coaching, mentoring, counseling, crisis intervention, that kind of things. And what happened with me is that I was actually really stuck in the system of, you know, just policies, procedures inside the box, just a lot of things that made me feel really trapped. I actually worked in, funny enough, in a juvenile detention center, so I literally was locked in and needed someone else to let me out. So so that's a thing. I mean, figuratively and literally. And one day I just started believing that there's got to be another way. This can't be the only way life is. And I just started getting curious and started exploring and started, you know, watching, looking, researching, reading a lot, watching people, and just trying to find my way. And also reverting, you know, inward to really get true to myself and find out what is it that I really want. So I built a belief that this isn't the only way, because I see other people doing it differently and I want to know what they're doing. And was in a lot of conversations with my, you know, support system. And literally one night I got talking about coaching. I actually learned about it by watching a ESPN video of a guy, a football player actually, who had his coach sitting next to him. And not that the coach said anything, but there was something about that coach's being that just really drew me to him. And I was like, that's me, like that's who I want to be. And listening to the football player talk about his life coach, I was like, that's me. So fast forward, you know, coaching planted in my brain, and literally I was in a conversation, and the next day, my brother used to manage a bank, and someone walked in and said, you know, they were a life coach, they needed assistance, they lost their debit card, all that stuff. And I was like we literally were talking about it the night before, and it delivered to me the next day. And then from there it's a wrap. And I spent a year in a really long, rigorous, intense program, completely transformational, really to the core, not like, let's just change a habit or behavior, but really changing who I was and how I was approaching life and decisions I was making, and just choices I was making. None of them were actually serving me to the belief that there's got to be something more. I'm actually in the way of all of that. So I did this program. I met a lot of great people, and I got, you know, into a huge support network of people, of achievers, people who are transforming, people who are doing the scary things, and succeeding. And it's you know, it's really hard to not, when you have all these people around you that are doing it and helping you, like, and supporting you and challenging you and holding you accountable in all the things. So yeah, it's been almost a year now where I just took a leap of faith. I did a lot of practice to get to that point, you know, building, you know, my network, building my support, getting myself, you know, established, you know, prepared, because, you know, financially I knew I was going to have to sacrifice a little bit to go this direction. And it's been the best decision I've ever made. I mean, it's just been such a ride, and it's like really like taking off, and it's so fun. It's just so fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's amazing. And you know, that's how things happen, you know, when it starts with an idea, right? And then as soon as you open yourself up to an idea, then the universe, you know, or, you know, God, whatever you want to, you know, whatever you believe in, you know, it starts happening for you. It starts, you know, you start attracting the right people to you. So
And it
my
really
question,
does happen like that. I mean, I just need to add that, because
yeah.
I definitely have, and I was one of them at one point in time, and I've definitely been in conversations like, that's a bunch of woo-woo, you know, BS talk and whatever. And I get it, because I was on that side of the fence for a long time. And surprisingly enough, I'm like, it's funny, because some days I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this, you know, where it's like, if you actually, you know, you believe it, you achieve it, like all these things, it's actually a real
It
thing.
used to be like you like you used to think that those were all cliches, right? But
Yeah,
you know, but they're actually the truth.
yeah, yeah. So,
So
yeah.
yeah. Well, can you share a little bit more about like what does a life coach do? Like, what do you do specifically, and what are you passionate about?
Yeah, so life coaching, more specifically about me, I'm a trained ontological coach, and ontology is the study of being. So we look a lot at who we're being versus doing. Like we're human beings first versus human doings. And a lot of us are stuck in just the doing. And so we step back and say, who are we being about, whatever the thing that we're doing. And we believe that at the core that will actually accelerate your results if you can shift your way of being with things. But coaching is it's a partnership. It's a relationship with you and another, with your client or clients, and clients can look any number of ways. And we're not the expert of the client's life. We hold them as the expert of their lives, but we partner with them to bring out all the answers that they have within them already that maybe they just don't know or haven't seen it or have been blocked or things of that nature. We do a lot of reflecting of things that we see that we can't see. I mean, there's a lot of things, we can't see because we're too close, or we're actually, the problem, or not the problem, but, we're in our way. So, and it differs because a lot of people are like, oh, you're like a therapist. I'm like, no, therapy is actually someone who's licensed, who comes from a medical background, clinical background. They're going to give you a diagnosis, and you're going to work a lot in your past and in your healing, and coaching works a lot in the present, so to go into the future. And then different from a consultant, just to be clear with that, is consultants are actually an expert at something and are an expert at your life. So they're going to come and say, okay, here's the problem, here's what I see, and here's how you fix it. So that's really the distinguish between all of them, is really just the relationship and the partnership that we hold with the client, and to empower them to take over their lives. Because we're not to be, I have a coach, and I'll always have a coach, because as you level up, and my coaches may change, and they just, holding you accountable, finding out, reflecting things that you don't see, and just being in a relationship. And I decide where I want to go and how I want to go.
Okay, that's great. And can you, for a little bit more specificity, can you give us an example of someone that you've helped, so that people can kind of, relate to an experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So one of my clients came to me working in a job. So I coach people all over the country. So she was particularly in Michigan, and she works a lot in the elections and that kind of arena. And she was unfulfilled in the role that she was in, and believed like she had so much more to offer, and she just was feeling super stuck, and wanted to level up, wanted a promotion, wanted to get a new job, and wanted to be respected and heard and valued. So we did a lot of work around that. One of the more specific goals was to get a promotion and get a job, and that would give her more responsibility and utilize more of her skills. So looking at her way of being and how she was showing up in the spaces with her peers, associates, and her higher ups, I guess we could say, we just looked at she'd shifted her way that she approached. We talked about her coming from her highest and best self. We identified what that was and had her strengthen the relationship to that, so that when she came into that space, she's practiced now, and she showed up in a more elevated way of being. And then she landed herself in less than 3 months. I worked with her for 4 months, but in less than 4 months, about 2.5 months, she landed herself. She actually created the position. Like she said, I want this. And I said, okay, well, what is it going to take, and all the things. And she created herself her position and got her promotion, and was just started winning. I mean, she won the job, but then she was winning everywhere else in her life too. It's like all parallel. So.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, I was gonna ask you how long it normally takes, but so you said for her it took about 3 months. What about, do you have, is there like a time frame of, like, say, like how long that you work with your clients? Is there like a range maybe?
Yeah, well, I mean, we definitely say a minimum of 4 months, because there's a lot of muscles to build. I mean, you can't go to the gym and get fit in one session.
Exactly.
It's a lot of ongoing work and real deep work and in-depth work. So, and a lot of practicing and showing up every week and day and things like that. So we say you could see transformation in about 4 months, same as the gym. Actually, now that I'm saying this, they say 16 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks, you start seeing it. So, so same thing. We say start there. And of course you can go however long you need or want, or, you know, everyone's at their own pace and their own time and stuff. So
Sure, sure. Well, thank you. That was a great example. And my last question, we were trying to keep this short and sweet,
yeah.
is, you know, what advice would you give, or how would you encourage someone who is in that position where, you know, they are sort of, they have been thinking about this thing, you know, whatever it is, whether it's a side gig they've been wanting to start, or a project, or they've been really sick and tired of being sick and tired, or like they wanted to change careers completely because they're just feeling stuck, and they can't, you know, they kind of really don't like where they are, but they don't know what to do next. Like, how would you encourage someone who is in that position?
Sure, sure. So I hear a couple things in what you're saying. Hear a person who's stuck and just doesn't know where or what. And I'd say for that person, start getting curious, find out what brings you joy. I mean, it's really simple as that. I mean, there's things that I say to myself, like in each decision is, will this bring me joy? Does this give me joy thinking about it? You know, I listen to my body a lot. It's such an indicator for me. I've learned this over the last year because I wasn't doing that before, just so you know. But what brings you joy, and not the thoughts coming in after that said, oh no, you can't, or you're not going to get enough money, or well, who would listen to you, or all the different things that might show up for a person. But just like your initial, does that bring you passion? Does that bring you joy? What do you watch a lot? What are you reading about a lot? What are you researching? You know, think, what is your interest? Stay there and just start exploring. You can make anything, you know, it comes to you. And so I would say that, and I just say that it's possible, and that there's another way to live, and you don't, you know, just break your pattern. If you're do something different, try something new, talk to somebody different, you know, just step outside of the pattern that you do live in each and every day. Do, you know, try a new hobby, anything. Go to these meetups that you and I met up at.
Right.
You get so many ideas talking to others. You know, and it's different. Some people may not want to talk to people. It could be anything. But there's so many ways to do it. So I don't want to say do this, but just my thing be different would break the pattern or the cycle that you're living in and day out,
Mm-hmm.
by, you know, talking to somebody, reading something, researching something, watching something, and just pay attention. What do you like to be? What area or subject do you like to be involved with a lot?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then those that have the idea, I would say, go for it. I mean, go for it. And I would say, you know, ensure that you have a strong support system, people that are really rooting you on. Really surround yourself with them. Keep the people that are, you know, some people call them haters or whatever. They're hating because they're not doing it for themselves, right?
Right.
But be with people, and that person may not be someone that your close family and friends. There's some of my closer people in my closer circle that, you know, I don't necessarily, you know, turn to or share what's going on, and I don't hold it against them. They just like my friends or family or whatever. Some of my closest support are people that I just met in the last year or 2 years. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd say get out, like you for one, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
because we understand each other and we're all in the same journey, and I mean,
Yeah.
us entrepreneurs, in my experience, everyone has pretty much been very supportive, very helpful, you know, open, and it's just, and relatable. So I'd say
Yeah.
support. I'd also say make sure, you know, you have something in place to cover your mind, body, and spirit, you know, your well-being, because it can be daunting at times, you know, it can be challenging. You might want to give up. You're questioning whether you should have done this or whatever. So just having practices, you know, moving your body. For me, I work out, I go to Orange Theory, I do meditation. Meditation's new, that's new for me, but it's been a game changer. And I try to watch my nutrition and things like that, stay hydrated, all those little itty bitty tips that everyone says, but they really make a difference and go far. And the same thing, the last thing would be changing your pattern, like any of your patterns, breaking them up, the patterns that aren't serving you or serving you in the direction that you want to go, like really evaluate and look at those. And you have a choice in every moment, and ask yourself, is this choice getting me closer to where I want to go? Will this choice get me to, you know, closer or further away? Which way will it lead me? So, and ask in like every moment. And that's something I do every moment. And I don't always make the right choice. Sometimes I choose, not to, take a nap today or something, whatever it is, I try to pay attention. But, and not having anything be right or wrong. There's no right or wrong way to this. And everyone's journey is personal to them. So.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I can relate to a lot of what you said.
Yeah.
And, I definitely think, when you make that first step, I mean, the hardest part is making that first step. I don't know if you agree with me. But once you do, once you make that decision and you actually make that step, then the rest of the way becomes more and more clear, and just taking it a day at a time. And how do you eat an elephant, right? A bite at a time.
Yes.
So don't try to eat the elephant all at once.
Yes.
Give yourself some grace, right?
Absolutely a must.
Yeah. And having that support system, I have to relate, I can totally relate to you. When I started my business, I didn't have the support system originally that I have now. And most of my support system comes from the people that I've met along the way. There are some who were there before, but because, one thing that I've learned is that once you change your trajectory, the people that have been on your journey may not want to go with you, and you just find those other people who are on a similar journey to you. We all have our own journey, but we can support each other because we can relate to the fact of with the challenges of being an entrepreneur, no matter what type of entrepreneur you are. So thank you so much. This was fantastic. I would love to, I'm going to post your, if you don't mind, I'll post your contact information with this interview, and on Facebook. And, if you have questions for Chel, please feel free to reach out to her. She's amazing. And
and if you want to be a coach, I'm recruiting coaches also. I stayed associated with my program. So looking for people who are, and now's a great time too, but looking for the real change agents out there that are really seeking to be into leadership and coaching. We talk to people all day long and all week long from all over the place to see if this is an area or direction. And coaching doesn't have to, it can be a focus in any area of it could be wellness, health, education, it can be whatever. But they train us, and which is why I like this program. They train us to be able to coach all the major topics that do come up in coaching, and business coaching, corporate coaching as well. So it's a really well-rounded and solid program. It's like one of the original programs, been around for 20 years. So if you want to look that up, that's called Accomplishment Coaching.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yes, I was going to say, this forum is really, to let people know that, hey, there are so many different options out there. And if coaching is something that you've been kind of toying with and have been thinking about, then definitely please reach out to Chel so she can share a little bit more details with you. And well, I will wrap this up. This was amazing. Thank you so much, Chel, and thank you all who have taken a moment to take a look at the video and check it out. And please share it if you have a friend who, is in that situation right now, who is who you'd like to inspire and encourage a little bit. Please share this. Something that Chel may have said may resonate with them, and may just be that one last thing that they needed to actually take that leap of faith. So thanks again, friends, and thank you, Chel, so much. And I look forward to continuing our conversations and supporting you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, so I stopped the live stream, and I did see some people pop in kind of in the side of my screen, but I didn't see it live because I didn't want to be distracted.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'll stop recording as well. Last thing that they needed to actually